Welcome to the Celestial Saga channel. We thought we were giving people a piece of wreckage that wasn't even suitable for recycling, but they saw it not as a problem, but as a challenge. How did the worst ship in the fleet become the most dangerous weapon in the galaxy? Watch to the end to find out. Admiral Bryce Hall's voice resonated across the Galactic Council's emergency chamber, his four tentacles twitching with restrained agitation as he absorbed the incoming data on his neural interface. Sir, the primitive species on Sol 3 have achieved faster-than-light travel, Lieutenant Clara Morrow reported, her bioluminescent patches pulsing with excitement. Our long-range sensors detected their first successful jump just hours ago. The chamber erupted into noise as counselors from 17 different species spoke over each other, their translator modules struggling to keep up with the whirlwind of clicks, whistles, and electromagnetic pulses. Hall's voice sliced through the chaos like a plasma beam cutting through metal. His status as the most decorated fleet commander in Galactic Alliance history commanded instant respect. "Please, humans, show me their achievement," he requested. A holographic display activated in the center of the chamber, revealing a vessel that seemed almost laughable, a ship barely larger than a cargo pod, surrounded by a flickering distortion of space-time. The ship's design was riddled with inefficiencies, its exposed power conduits and makeshift radiators almost embarrassing to behold. "That shouldn't work," muttered Science Director Jasper Finch, his crystalline form refracting light as he gazed in disbelief. "Their grasp of quantum mechanics is primitive at best. They're still debating whether gravity is a force or simply the result of warped space-time." Hall's primary eyes narrowed, while his secondary ones focused on the ship's energy readings. "And yet, here it is, defying what they thought was impossible," he remarked, a thought forming in his mind. "Perhaps it's time to welcome them into the galactic fold." The chamber fell silent. First contact protocols were clear. Any species capable of FTL travel would automatically be granted recognition and trade rights. But Hall's tone made everyone uneasy. "You have a suggestion, Admiral?" High Counselor Oren Solis inquired, his feathers rustling with intrigue. Hall's mouthparts curled into what his species considered a smile. "Indeed," he responded. "Protocol dictates that we share a portion of our technology as a gesture of goodwill. I propose we give them the Stellar Whisper." A collective gasp echoed through the chamber. The Stellar Whisper was infamous, a Class D scout ship so outdated and unreliable that even salvage crews abandoned it. Its quantum field generator often malfunctioned. Its navigation system occasionally charted courses into stars. And its life support system played maddening musical tones that pushed most species to the brink of insanity. "That ship is a death trap," Clara Morrow protested. "The safety protocols alone are enough to prevent instant catastrophe," Hall retorted. "Think of it as a test. If these humans are truly prepared for the stars, let's see how they handle our worst technology. Set up a monitoring station in their system. I want to observe how they respond." High Counselor Solis's feathers shifted to a deep shade of purple in amusement. "You've always had a peculiar sense of humor, Admiral. Very well. Let it be recorded that the Galactic Alliance will gift the Stellar Whisper to humanity as their welcome present." As the Council members departed, Lieutenant Clara Morrow approached Hall. "Sir, what do you expect them to do with that junker?" Hall's secondary eyes glimmered with amusement. "Best case scenario, they'll display it as a museum piece. Worst case, they'll blow themselves up trying to fix it. Either way, we'll learn something valuable about these humans." He had no idea just how wrong he was. 3 days later, monitoring station Epsilon was fully operational, cloaked in orbit around Saturn. Its sensors were perfectly calibrated to track every moment of humanity's first interaction with galactic technology. Admiral Hall settled into his observation post, prepared for what he assumed would be weeks of watching the humans fumble with advanced technology. "Begin recording," he ordered. "Let's see how these primitives handle real spacefaring tech." The Stellar Whisper, already en route, was being towed by an automated delivery drone. Soon, humanity would receive their gift, and the galaxy would never be the same. From his observation post, Admiral Hall watched the automated drone deposit the Stellar Whisper near the International Space Station. The humans' primitive radar systems had detected the incoming vessel days ago, setting off a flurry of activity that Hall found almost comical. "Look at them scramble," he chuckled to Lieutenant Clara Morrow. "They've assembled what they call their best and brightest to examine our gift." The first human team approached the Stellar Whisper in their bulky EVA suits. Among them were Dr. Vincent Kane, a quantum physicist, and Commander Ethan Moore, a seasoned astronaut. Their helmet cameras transmitted every detail back to Earth, where thousands of scientists anxiously awaited their findings. Remarkable construction, Dr. Kane's voice crackled over the intercepted communications. The entire material, it's responding to our scanners in ways that defy several laws of physics. Commander Moore ran his gloved hand over the ship's surface. These patterns aren't just decorative. Look at how they channel energy through the structure. Hall's secondary eyes blinked in disbelief. They noticed the quantum flow matrices. Those should have been virtually undetectable. The observation team watched as the humans spent the next 2 days scrutinizing the outer hull, meticulously documenting every scratch, dent, and flaw in the aging vessel. Their careful approach was unexpected. "Unexpected, sir," Clara Morrow reported. "They're requesting permission to access the interior. Should we unlock the airlocks remotely?" "Might as well," Hall said. "Let's see how they handle the nightmare that is the Stellar Whisper's control system." The airlock cycled open with a wheeze, making several engineers wince. Dr. Kane led the team inside, their handheld devices scanning everything in sight. Commander Moore followed, marking their path with small sensor beacons. The internal layout, Moore noted, it's not designed for any specific body type, almost like it was meant to be modified. Dr. Kane observed, "These connection points, these modular sections, they're begging to be reconfigured." Hall's tentacles shifted in confusion. "What are they talking about? The Stellar Whisper's layout is fixed. The auxiliary systems would collapse if anyone tried to—" He trailed off as he watched the humans begin mapping out potential modifications on their tablets. They weren't treating the ship as a finished product. To them, it was just the beginning. Admiral Clara Morrow's voice sounded concerned. "They've bypassed 3 safety interlocks. They're accessing the quantum field generator's maintenance protocols." "Let them," Hall replied. "The safety systems will prevent any real damage." The humans weren't trying to cause harm. Instead, they were analyzing every error message, every malfunction, every failure. They treated each one as valuable data. "Sir," Clara Morrow called out, "you need to see this. They've created a simulation model of the ship's systems. They're running thousands of configurations at once." Hall watched in awe as their primitive AI systems tore through the ship's operating parameters. They were testing combinations no Scion engineer would ever consider. Their computers didn't know these combinations were impossible, so they just tried them anyway. "These humans," Hall murmured. "They're not following any of the standard protocols. They're not even trying to understand how the ship is supposed to work. They're trying to understand how it could." Clara Morrow's bioluminescence pulsed, her anxiety growing as she observed the situation unfold. The hum of the Stellar Whisper's quantum field generator came to life for the first time in decades. But the sound was wrong, disturbingly better. Admiral Hall felt his primary heart miss a beat. Perhaps giving the humans the worst ship in the fleet wasn't such a brilliant idea after all. "They're doing what?" Hall's tentacles twisted in shock as he watched the live feed from monitoring station Epsilon. Dr. Kane and her team had completely disassembled the primary power core of the Stellar Whisper. The components were scattered across the cargo bay in an arrangement that made sense only to the humans. Commander Moore stood in front of a holographic display, leading engineering teams to rebuild systems that had been functioning for centuries, albeit inefficiently. "Sir, they've removed all the safety limiters from the quantum containment field," Lieutenant Clara Morrow reported, her bioluminescence flickering anxiously. "According to our calculations, they should have created at least 3 localized black holes by now. But instead of catastrophic failure, their modifications are working. They've swapped the standard power conduits for something they've called superconductive quantum channels," Clara Morrow continued. "It's a technology that defies known physics. Yet here it is, channeling 5 times more energy than the original design. Look at this," Dr. Kane's voice crackled through their intercepted communications. "The original engineers designed redundancy upon redundancy because they feared failure, throttling the system. But if we cross-connect these pathways," Commander Moore interrupted, "and route the excess energy through the new cooling system we built." Clara Morrow hesitated. "Sir, their modifications are spreading. They're using the ship's maintenance nanites in ways we never expected. They're evolving the technology while we're watching." Admiral Hall stared in disbelief. The humans had transformed the cargo bay into what they called a fabrication lab, using the ship's limited repair systems to create components that shouldn't even exist. They had taken the most outdated ship in the fleet and approached it as a challenge, not a limitation. "They're running final tests on the modified engine core," Commander Moore announced. "Dr. Kane, your quantum frequency modulators are showing green across the board." "Impossible," Hall muttered. The Stellar Whisper's engines had barely been able to function at 30% efficiency. There was no way they could be working at full capacity. Then, the ship's power signature suddenly doubled, then tripled, far exceeding the monitoring station's capacity to measure it. "How?" Clara Morrow whispered. "They've stripped away every safety protocol we installed. They're running plasma through circuits meant for standard power transmission. They're treating quantum uncertainty like a feature, not a flaw." Dr. Kane's voice echoed in excitement. "James, the energy conversion rate is 97% efficiency. The theoretical maximum was 70. "Theories just mean we haven't broken it yet," Commander Moore joked. "Prepare for the first test jump. Let's see what this thing can really do." Admiral Hall's heart raced as he watched the Stellar Whisper's engines pulse with power that should have torn the ship apart. Instead, the vessel entered FTL travel as smoothly as a Galtech luxury cruiser. The jump lasted less than a second. "One of the human technicians reported 4 light-years traveled," Clara Morrow said, "and they used 18% less power than our original FTL drive." The room fell silent. 4 light-years in under a second with a ship designed to barely manage 1 light-year per day. "Sir," Clara Morrow spoke softly, "I think we've made a terrible mistake." Hall's eyes locked on the Stellar Whisper as it prepared for another jump. "No, Lieutenant. We haven't made a mistake yet, but we're about to witness many of our worst assumptions about physics being shattered. The humans weren't done, not by a long shot, and the galaxy was unprepared for what was to come." "Physics doesn't work that way," Admiral Hall shouted at the holographic display, his tentacles tied in knots as he watched the latest modifications. Dr. Sophia Turner had joined the team just a week ago, fresh from CERN's quantum laboratories. She brought theories that even the most progressive human physicists found unsettling, but her results? Those were undeniable. "The quantum field generator isn't just bending space," Dr. Turner explained to her colleagues. "It's negotiating with reality. The original engineers built it to follow their laws of physics, but reality is more flexible than that." Commander Moore watched in awe as she reprogrammed the quantum field matrix. "So you're saying we can ask the universe to work differently?" Dr. Turner grinned. "Not ask, suggest, strongly." Her fingers danced across the holographic controls. "Look at these equations. They aren't laws. They're more like guidelines." Admiral Hall's secondary hearts nearly stopped. He watched in disbelief as the humans rewrote the basic protocols of the quantum field generator. "Lieutenant Clara Morrow, tell me they're not—" "They are, sir," Clara Morrow confirmed. "They're treating quantum uncertainty like a programming language. They're coding reality itself." The Stellar Whisper's hull began to glow with possibilities that should not exist. Where the quantum field touched the ship, probability itself seemed to bend. Dr. Turner's modifications weren't just altering how the ship operated, they were changing the very nature of what operating meant. "Ready for test run Beta 7, Commander Moore announced. "Dr. Turner, your reality suggestion is loaded." Dr. Turner cautioned, "Remember, we're not breaking physics. We're just expanding its options." The ship disappeared, not in the usual ripple of FTL travel, but in a smooth wave that resembled liquid mathematics. When it reappeared 3 seconds later, all the sensors in the monitoring station went dark. "Location confirmed." Dr. Kane's voice crackled through the restored communications. "We just traveled through a star, not around it. Through it." Clara Morrow's bioluminescence turned white with shock. "That's impossible. They can't—" "The temperature readings are normal," Commander Moore reported. Dr. Turner's quantum field modification worked. The star's matter existed in a state of maybe as we passed through it. Dr. Turner's laugh echoed in the command center. "Physics is more of a democracy than a dictatorship. If enough quantum particles vote for an alternative reality, the universe listens." Admiral Hall watched as the humans began plotting their next suggestion to the universe. The Stellar Whisper, once the laughingstock of the galactic fleet, now bent probability around itself like a cloak. What had once been a tool for creating simple bubbles of warp space was now used to rewrite the very fabric of reality. "Sir," Clara Morrow whispered, "the other races are starting to notice. The Proxen have deployed 3 observer ships. The Zeni Collective is calling for an emergency council session." Let them watch, Hall replied hollowly. Let them see what happens when you give humans a broken toy and assume they'll play by the rules. On the display, Dr. Turner was already drawing up plans for what she called quantum probability cascades. The Stellar Whisper was no longer just a ship. It had become humanity's first draft of a new universe, where impossible was simply another word for not tried hard enough yet. The emergency session of the Galactic Council descended into chaos as the Pran ambassador slammed his crystalline appendage down onto the podium, his voice vibrating with urgency. We must stop the humans. They've turned a Class D scout vessel into a weapon capable of warping reality itself. Admiral Hall remained still, his four eyes fixed on the central display, while his tentacles remained unnervingly motionless. The data unfolding before him was damning. The Stellar Whisper had outmaneuvered the Proin flagship, the Star Dancer, a vessel worth more than the GDP of entire planets, and it hadn't even fired a single shot. The Zen representative buzzed loudly through their translator. The human vessel simply suggested that our targeting systems might need a break. Our weapons experienced a crisis of existence. The security footage displayed the Stellar Whisper casually phasing through the Star Dancer's hull, waving at the crew through their own windows, and exiting via a bizarre tap dance routine in four-dimensional space. Admiral Milo Cross, his usual poise now lost, fluttered his feathers in exasperation. You gave them that ship. This situation must be contained. Contain it? Admiral Kecker let out a barking laugh. Have you seen their latest modifications? Dr. Turner has the quantum field generator running on what she calls narrative causality. The ship doesn't just bend reality, it persuades reality to bend for it. New footage appeared on the display. The Stellar Whisper approached a Zen blockade at core or rates. The sight made mathematicians weep. Rather than following standard evasive procedures, the ship's quantum field pulsed with what was detected as concentrated dramatic timing. They're treating physics like it's a story, Lieutenant Clara Morrow reported from her station, and they're masters of storytelling. Commander Moore's voice cut through the council chamber. Let's show them why you never bring a fleet to a narrative fight. The Stellar Whisper's quantum field flared for exactly 3 seconds. Every ship in the Zen blockade realized it was now a metaphor for bureaucratic inefficiency. By the time the Zen ships remembered they were supposed to be warships, the humans had already passed through, leaving behind a bouquet of quantum roses and a thank you note written in probability waves. 7 of our best psychologists have had breakdowns trying to figure out how they did it, the Zen representative chittered. The humans aren't just defying the laws of physics, they're rewriting them with poetry. The Proxen ambassador vibrated with barely contained rage, his crystalline structure starting to crack under stress. Your species must take responsibility. Send in the 7th Fleet. Confiscate that vessel before they... An alarm blared suddenly, and all eyes turned to the central display as Dr. Maya Turner's latest experiment went live. Beginning test scenario Omega, her voice rang out calmly, almost with amusement. Targeting coordinates, yes. What does she mean, yes? Someone shouted in confusion. Coordinates can't be yes. The Stellar Whisper vanished, only to appear simultaneously at every location the Proxen ambassador had considered for the 7th Fleet. The quantum field hummed a melody that mathematical analysis later identified as I can show you the world, from a human entertainment file. Impossible! The Proin ambassador's crystalline lattice began to crack. They're everywhere at once. No, Kakar corrected with a tone of resigned admiration. They're demonstrating that everywhere is just a matter of perspective, and their perspective just voted to redefine local space-time as a subset of their ship's sensor range. Lieutenant Clara Morrow's bioluminescence pulsed with fresh readings. Sir, they're not just bending space anymore. They're treating it like a suggestion. The Stellar Whisper isn't traveling through space. It's convincing space to move around it. The chamber fell silent as they watched humanity's worst ship casually rewrite the laws of the universe. Dr. Turner's voice came through again, tinged with the unique madness that only humans seem to embrace. Good news, everyone. We've just proven that distance is more of a personal choice than a universal constant. Also, we may have accidentally taught causality to dance the Macarena. Admiral Hall faced the council, his eyes gleaming with disbelief. You want me to stop them? I gave humans a broken ship thinking they'd learn humility. Instead, they taught physics to negotiate. At this point, I'm not even sure the universe itself could stop them. And believe me, they've already asked it politely to try. The Galactic Council's emergency alert system blared as the Stellar Whisper achieved something Dr. Turner called probability collapse travel. The ship didn't just appear at its destination, it convinced the universe that it had always been there. "The laws of physics have filed for divorce," Lieutenant Clara Morrow announced, her bioluminescence flashing with panic. "The humans just made distance optional." Admiral Kakar watched as Dr. Turner and Commander Moore demonstrated their latest breakthrough. The Stellar Whisper flickered across the galaxy, with each jump growing more impossible than the last. They weren't traveling through space anymore. They were allowing space to travel for them. "Think of it as cosmic delegation," Dr. Turner explained to the bewildered alien observers. "Why move through space when you can just ask space to rearrange itself around you?" The implications hit the galactic community like a quantum torpedo. The worst ship in the fleet had turned into the most advanced vessel in known space, and the humans hadn't just repaired it, they had taught it new tricks that defied several universal constants. "The Proxen are requesting human engineers," Clara Morrow reported, her voice laced with disbelief. "The Zen Collective is offering their entire research database in exchange for consulting hours with Dr. Turner." Admiral Kakar's tentacles twisted into what his species recognized as a rule smile. "Of course they are. We gave humans a broken toy, expecting them to learn their limitations. Instead, they broke the universe's limitations." The Stellar Whisper appeared once again in the Council Chamber's viewing space, its quantum field rippling with possibilities that shouldn't exist. Commander Moore's voice echoed through the chamber. "We finished the basic upgrades," he said casually, as if they hadn't just rewritten the laws of physics. "Anyone else want their ships modified? Dr. Turner has some fascinating theories about teaching hyperdrives to daydream." The chamber erupted in a cacophony of requests, offers, and pleas. Every race that had once mocked humanity's gift now desperately sought their expertise. "You know what the funniest part is?" Hall mused to Clara Morrow. "We thought we were being clever by giving them our worst. We never realized that worst just meant most room for improvement." The Stellar Whisper winked out of existence again, leaving behind a message written in quantum probability waves. "Reality is what you make of it, and humans, we make it better." Classified report from Admiral Hall to Galactic High Command subject. Humanity, classification update, and strategic analysis. The decision to give humanity the Stellar Whisper will go down as the greatest miscalculation in Galactic Alliance history. Not because it failed, but because it succeeded beyond anything we could have ever imagined. In just 6 standard months, humanity hasn't just repaired a broken ship, they've fundamentally altered our understanding of universal constants. Dr. Sophia Turner's quantum negotiation protocols have now been officially recognized by the Science Council, and human specialists are now classified as reality engineers. The consequences are monumental. 300 civilizations have already requested human technical assistance. The Proxen, our most advanced members, are now sending their fleet engineers to Earth for training. Moore runs what humans call a workshop, where he teaches other species how to think beyond the traditional confines of physics. Lieutenant Clara Morrow's latest analysis has confirmed my worst fears. Humans don't see ships as completed designs. They view them as rough drafts. They don't accept limitations, they challenge them. Give them a broken scanner, and they'll teach it to peer through time, hand them a malfunctioning engine, and they'll convince it that fuel efficiency is a matter of personal perspective. The Stellar Whisper, once our greatest embarrassment, now stands as humanity's proof of concept. They've launched what they call an open-source initiative to share their innovations across the galaxy. Dr. Turner's latest paper, Quantum Mechanics, More Guidelines Than Rules, has caused 17 of our top physicists to suffer nervous breakdowns. But here's the truly terrifying part. They're only getting started. Yesterday, I overheard Dr. Turner explaining to a group of Zen engineers that reality is largely democratic, and that the laws of physics are more like suggestions. If you gather enough votes, those suggestions can become reality. The Galactic Alliance must adapt. We didn't just introduce a new species to the galactic community. We inadvertently handed the source code of reality itself to a species that takes impossible as a personal insult. My recommendation, reclassify Earth as a Class 1 innovation center. We need to establish diplomatic protocols for reality modification requests. And most importantly, never ever give humans broken technology again. They don't fix things, they revolutionize them. Final note, Dr. Turner has volunteered to teach a class called Quantum Probability, making the universe an offer it can't refuse. May whatever gods exist help us all.